Hey guys, it's me, View President 102, and today I'll be reading Chapter 9 of Bad Guy by Becca 911. I got a new screen recorder, so I might be able to go more than 15 minutes. In that case, I'll read till my heart gives out. Anyway, let's get into it. Chapter 9. His skin was pale, his hands trembling, as he stared and stared at the person in the mirror. It wasn't him. Couldn't be him. The person in the mirror looked sick. He wasn't sick. Because despite Logan, he left his room, visited Thomas before. He approached Patton and Roman and apologized. He'd done everything but eat and sleep. Maybe that's why the person he was staring at looked sick. The presence was still behind him, still had a grip on his thoughts and on him. He didn't know what it was, didn't care. A knock on his door drew his attention away from the shaking image in the glass and patted over and opened it up, coming face to face with Logan. Swallowing, anxiety let his hand fall back to his side. The teacher was fixing his necktie casually. "Greetings, Anxiety," he said coolly. "Pat and Roman had relayed to me that you have visited them both and apologized as well as hung out with them. I also have reason to believe that you've been interacting with Thomas." "I haven't done anything bad," he said weakly, his voice cracking and breaking. "I promise I'm not the bad guy here." "I never said that," Logan cleared his throat. "I'm here to apologize. How I acted was inappropriate, and you deserved none of it." "Not the bad guy," he whispered to himself. "Not the bad guy. Not the bad guy." Logan frowned and reached forward, halting when Anxiety flinched back. "Anxiety? Are you well?" "I'm not." Anxiety stared at him, tugging at his sleeves on his hoodie. I promise." "Maybe Patton can be more useful," Logan mused. "I will bring him here." "No!" Anxiety stared at him with wide, frightened brown eyes. "No, he'll... I'll hurt him. Please, I'll hurt him." Logan took a second to process. "Anxiety, you won't hurt Patton. Roman and I will be here too. You're unwell. You need help." "No." Anxiety shook his head. "I'm fine." "No, you're not. I will be only a few moments. Please wait." Anxiety watched him leave, fading away as the teacher searched for the other two. He felt off, detached and hollow. He was scared. Scared of hurting them and scared of hurting Thomas. Logan's threat still hung fresh in his mind. "Hey, kiddo." He backed up, taking in a sharp breath as his back in the wall, but he looked up and tried to ease his growing panic. Stars. The stars calmed him. "Anxiety? Logan told us you were sick." He looked back at them and shook his head. "No, not sick. Fine." "He's traumatized," Logan said blandly. "Thomas's actions and my threats have caused his mind to endure extreme distress, and he has shut down on himself. With some constant calming down, he should recover. I'm not the person to offer comfort, so I brought you two here." Romans eyed him suspiciously. "Your threats?" he repeated. "What threats?" "Stay in your room," Anxiety muttered. "No Patton, no leaving." "Logan!" Patton scolded Izehard. "Why would you do that?" Anxiety reached forward, startled and trembling. No shouting." He stumbled towards the two, pulling Patton away. No arguing." "Anxiety?" Patton wrapped his arms around the younger. "What's the matter with you, kiddo?" "Please, don't fight," he pleaded, feeling the younger and more vulnerable than ever. "Please." "He seems docile in a way," Roman mused. "This is quite unnerving." "He is only young," Logan reminded them. "Statistically speaking, Anxiety has only been around for about a decade, maybe a few years more. We've been around since a significantly longer period of time." "He's a baby," Patton breathed. "I forgot about that." "So what do we do?" Roman asked Logan. "How do we bring him back?" "That's not really what happens." Logan straightened his glasses. You are coaxing anxiety out of a temporary shell state, drawing him back into his physical mind. Right now he's traumatized, and he's locked himself away in a fantasy of sorts, effectively hiding from the world. Gradually, if you keep him calm, his mind will automatically sense the lack of danger and ease him back into a normal lifestyle. So we need to keep him calm? Patton summarized. Basically, Logan sighed. I need to brief Thomas. I leave you to it. He disappeared, leaving the other three in Anxiety's room. So? Patton began. What's the plan? Patton shrugged. Keep him calm. Talk to him. Logan didn't help things, but as long as Thomas doesn't take any more pills, we should be okay. Roman snorted. He's literally anxiety, and we have to keep him calm. Irony. Sorry, Anxiety mumbled, stepping out of Patton's embrace. I'm causing trouble. Don't apologize, Patton murmured softly. It's not your fault. Yeah, you were just doing your job, and what Logan and Thomas did was unfair, Roman added. Anxiety eyed them doubtly. I'm anxiety. That makes me bad. Roman sighed. This was going to be a long process. Chapter 10. Anxiety, I'm going to tie you to the chair and force feed you, Pan threatened. Eat the damn sandwich. He's not going to, an exhausted Roman said from Anxiety's bed. They both spent an hour trying to get Anxiety to eat, but the stubborn trait had always refused. It was tedious, and the prince got annoyed quickly. You learn fast, Anxiety said with a smirk, but he shrank into his hoodie as Roman glared at him. Pan withheld his bittersweet feelings. Because for a second it actually seemed like everything was back to normal. He sighed, rubbing his eyes. Please, Anxiety. Just please. Hesitantly, reluctantly, Anxiety plucked the sandwich from Patton's hand, taking a bite. He forced a smile, hoping they wouldn't see his hand trembling, hoping they wouldn't realize that the food tasted like ash in his mouth. Patton took the sandwich gently. At least you tried. Roman stood up. So now what? He asked tiredly. Anxiety scratched his neck awkwardly. You two can go and get some rest or something. You don't have to be here all the time. But Anxiety, Patton protested. I don't think we should leave you alone like this. I'm not made of glass, Anxiety said. Look, you need to look after yourselves as well. Agreed. Roman jumped up and grabbed Patton's wrist, tugging the parental trait toward the door. Roman! Patton struggled against the prince's grip. We can't just leave. Patton, please. Defeated, Patton let Roman drag him out of the room. Anxiety closed the door behind them in relief. He appreciated the two trying to help him, but he wasn't fragile. Aren't you? He shook his head, trying to clear his head of the darker thoughts, but they followed him. You reeked out over something so small. Pull yourself together. They tried to kill me. He tried to argue, feeling sick to his stomach. Can you honestly blame them? No, he supposed he couldn't. He accepted his position as a bad guy a long time ago, understood that he wasn't like them. He didn't laugh and play around. He didn't offer Thomas any form of positive encouragement. He wasn't like them. That's why Thomas had taken the pills, why Logan had encouraged it. Because Anxiety was different, and bad, and wrong, and they needed to take him down a few notches. His own personal anxiety spiked, and he sank down onto the floor, holding his head in his hands. He had to pull himself together, dig himself out of the hole that he'd fallen into. He had to lock away the vulnerability that he displayed and regain his composure. He didn't need them babysitting him. And then he was on the stairs. Hey, Anxiety, Thomas greeted, looking concerned. You okay? Anxiety stared at him. You summoned me? Are you okay? There was a sudden increase in my nervousness, and I wasn't even doing anything. Just checking in on you. Anxiety waved him off. Nah, I'm good. Okay then. Thomas gave him a doubtful look, then pulled his hand out from behind his back. Care to explain how these found their way back to me? Anxiety just sighed at the sight of the anxiety pills. I'm not the best. I admit that. I can be harmful to you, and sometimes I get too cocky and need to be taken down too much. Like that time with Lily. I'm sorry, Thomas. They're there for you to use freely. I won't blame you if you use them. Hey, no, Thomas said firmly. That's not very good thinking. I'm not a very good person, Anxiety said with a grim smile. In fact, I'm not a person at all. I'm a disease. You're more than that, Thomas argued, but Anxiety held up a hand. I know what I am. I know what I'm not. Your words aren't going to change that. Before Thomas could say anything else, Anxiety sank back down, coming into focus in the kitchen. Anxiety? He tensed up at Logan's voice, but then he reminded himself that he was not glass and straightened. What's up, Logic? He said casually, turning around to face the teacher. I see you recovered. Yeah. That's good. Is it? They stood in awkward silence for a few moments before Anxiety rolled his eyes. Whatever. Anxiety, wait. But he was already gone. Yeah, English. Hello. I don't do English. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Didn't vote for this. Stupid me. Okay, chapter 11. Anxiety? He shuddered and glanced around the room, catching a glimpse of the shadow that had been following him ever since Thomas took the anxiety pills. He'd yet to see the shadow manifest, but he knew someone was there. Anxiety? What? He snapped, pulling himself back to the present. Mortal declared his threat. Sorry, kiddo, but you zoned out and I got kind of worried. I'm fine. I believe you. The anxiety knew that Pedden didn't. Nobody did anymore, and it was eating him alive. Ever since his breakdown, the others had constantly been checking up on him, and he craved his solitude. Whatever. They don't trust you, he said, feeling his head droop as he walked back to his room. They didn't trust him, and while it was out of concern, it still stung. They didn't believe him anymore. They were babysitting him like he was a child that couldn't do things by himself. I believe you. His eyes widened, and he ran the last few steps to his room, slamming the door behind him and diving into his bed. He could see the swirling shadow out of the corner of his eye, but it didn't solidify. Who are you? He hated the way his voice trembled. It made him feel weak, and that was wrong. He wasn't allowed to be weak. You know who I am. And he did. He'd known from the very beginning, when that little voice in his head had suddenly sprung to life. He'd wondered how long it would take for it to become visible. Why haven't I seen you before now? Your mind is your weakness. He chewed his lip anxiously. My breakdown? A breathy laugh. Yes. And then he saw it. The wisp of the shadow darkened into black jeans and a black jumper. Black hair framed the deathly pale face and red blotchy cheeks and bloodshot eyes. The newcomer smiled clearly. Hello, Virgil. He sighed. Guess I'm gonna have to change the purple now. Damn it. The other frowned. What? Anxiety motioned to the black clothes. We match. You took away my black. I guess I have to switch to purple or something. Why are you not afraid of me? Anxiety shrugged. I'm sick of being afraid. The newcomer smiled. Derek. What? My name is Derek. I'm your depression. Anxiety sat back. So it had finally happened. He couldn't hide it from himself anymore. He had depression. He'd felt it, known it was there, and now it was here, and his name was Derek. Nice to meet you? He sounded unsure, and Derek nodded. Pleasure. Anxiety flopped back on his bed, groaning. As if I didn't have enough problems. I'm not exactly a problem, Derek said, sitting next to the darker trait. I don't affect Thomas in any way. I don't affect the others either. I am your personal depression, and I don't do anything except be here. If you feel upset or sad or lonely, that's my aura. Anxiety sat back. So you're just here? Derek dipped his head. And that's what I said. Anxiety frowned. But I thought... You thought I was some kind of monster? Derek interrupted with a sad smile. It's okay. Everyone thinks that. You and I, we're diseases. We get shamed, shunned, punished around, just because we do our jobs. We're created to do our jobs, Anxiety muttered. Exactly. They fell into silence, and Anxiety had to admit that it was nice. Depression was nothing like he'd expected, and it was nice to have someone to talk to. I have to admit something to you, though. Derek's voice was apologetic. I will affect you. You cannot stop or change that. I am here because you are not happy. It will not make you happy, but it will not push you further down. Too many people before me have done that. You're different, Anxiety said. Derek huffed and laughed. I hope that's not a bad thing. It all depends on whose perspective you're looking at from. True. I think you're a good different. Thank you, Virgil. He lapsed into silence, and before Anxiety could help it, he giggled. It was just too silly and unbelievable. He had depression, and he was happy about it? He truly was messed up. But he had someone who could sit and listen and understand. Why were you so horrible before? Anxiety asked. When you were just thoughts in my head. Derek hesitated. I told you that I'm here to do my job, to give you those darker thoughts. It is my job, and for that I am sorry. Anxiety let out a breath. I can understand that it's your job. I don't enjoy making Thomas anxious, but that is my job. It's okay. Derek laid back and stared into a swirling galaxy that was Anxiety's roof. Or different, too. Good different or bad different? Anxiety joked. Depression thought about it for a while. Good different, he decided. I definitely think you're a good different. Woo. Why not a couple more chapters? Yeah, let's go to chapter 15, because I can. Ooh, woo. Me being awkward for like 3 seconds. ASMR. Doing that deep depression voice actually hurts. Just give me a second. Just give me like 10 seconds. Okay. 3, 2, 1. It has been days since he'd been out of his room. He wasn't sure the others had noticed his absence, but that was okay. They were all better off without him anyway. You do actually need to eat, Derek said from his bed as Anxiety lingered by his desk. He was unbelievably twitchy, but he supposed that was just from his depression. As much as I support the whole lock yourself away and drown yourself in sadness, you need food to live. It doesn't matter, Anxiety muttered. I don't matter. Derek sighed. This isn't healthy. So? Anxiety shot back. You won't worry about this right at the start. I'm accepting the fact that I don't really mean anything. Isn't that the whole point of this? No, Depression said softly. You're much more than what you think you are. I doubt that, Anxiety scoffed, beginning to scratch softly at his neck. You've learned this lesson, Anxiety. You're essential to Thomas and his life. So why does no one else understand that? He distressed personally cried. Why do they yell at me for it? It's not my fault. His knees buckled, and he slipped to the floor. It's not my fault. I'm not the bad guy here. Derek just watched him break down, because although he may sympathize, it was not his place to offer comfort. Sadness did not offer happiness. Anxiety! He uncurled from his position on the floor and very quickly hid the proof of tears with makeup, plastering his usual scowl on his face. He opened the door, coming face to face with a concerned Patton. Hey, kiddo, the parental trait said. Why are you ignoring our summons? Thomas is making a video, and you didn't show up. Sorry, he said sullenly. I was too busy doing nothing to show up. Patton frowned. You okay, kiddo? I'm fine, he responded cruelly. Look, let's just go if it's that important. Oh, okay then. Reluctantly, he popped up, instantly shrinking back as all eyes shot to him. This is kinda sad. How do you have anything negative to bring to this Anxiety? Thomas stressed. We're talking about tunes, Dr. Gloom, Prince shouted. Inside, Anxiety was fuming, but he tried to keep his cool. He really wasn't in the mood for this. Yeah, Logan wasn't a blossom of enthusiasm either. But sure, make me the antagonist. Every time, you always make me the bad guy. Okay, I will, Roman sneered. Anxiety curled his lip. I hate you so much. Okay, Ludwig interrupted the growing argument. What were you saying? Anxiety sighed. I was saying, it's kind of sad how wonderful those worlds are. Everything works out fine in cartoons. Why can't we live in one of those worlds instead? Because then everything would be easier. That's not how the world works. He gritted his teeth. Thomas broke his thought pattern. Gotta say, this feels like a bit of a reach. Can I finish? He snapped, frustrated with the people not listening to them. Can I finish my thought? Can I finish what I was saying? Thomas nodded meekly. They're so wonderful, he drawled, and you can never actually be a part of them. Who would want to live in a cartoon world? Logan started, but Roman cut him off. Oh my goodness! That'd be the most epic thing! Logan sighed. Question answered. And then Anxiety tuned out, stuck in autopilot. He mindlessly spat out answers to questions that they asked him, adding his commentary without even thinking about it. Then he was a cartoon. Surprise! I'm the bad guy. And then it all just abruptly ended. But we all know Anxiety is the fairest of them all. He blinked. Roman looked around sheepishly. Come on, guys. It was a pale joke. Good one, he sneered. I've had enough for the day. Please, anything to get me out of here. When are you going to tell them? Jack's voice was quiet, and Anxiety gritted his teeth. They don't need to know. Don't they deserve to know why suddenly you're shutting them out? They've shut me out for all of existence, he snarled. Why should I treat them any different? Jack was silent for a heartbeat. It shows you're the bigger person. Anxiety laughed coldly, his chest filled with ash and dust. I am nothing like that. You could try to be. There'd be no point. You don't know that. Yes, I do. And that was that.